Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hi, everybody, we're back.
We're back!
We're back after a very long time. We missed you.
I've been here.
Well, I've been everywhere.
You've been away.
But we've just, we had other traveling and things to do, but now... Well, no, we traveled back from the vineyard. That was another reason that we hadn't...
It's been that long?
It's been a long time. I know. But we're back, and it's the height of the season, and we have lots to talk about.
Very exciting.
And we're sorry if there's a little noise in the background. It's just, it's impossible not to have any noise.
Our radiator is humming, and they're cleaning leaves out in the back, and, this is city living.
Yes. And we tallied. Wait till you hear the number.
Because I insisted that we just keep track, even while we weren't...
why not? And actually didn't really change the numbers much. We tallied 132 primetime shows.
Some of which I watched myself.
Right, and some of which I watched in Israel. Out of which, written or co-written by a woman, 62, which is 47%. Not bad, almost a half.
At all.
But directed by a woman, 42, which is 32%.
That's not bad.
So it just shows that no matter how big the sample is, it's pretty much the same.
I think I got... I'm watching Watchmen alone, which, since it's my type of show, not Liron's, and I think we got some good stats out of Watchmen, which is interesting.
So we have been so busy catching up on our DVR, which is so full that we haven't had any time to watch any of the streaming services, any of the new shows, any of the returning seasons. So we'll have to get back to you on that one. But we do have a few things to tell you about, especially because this is movie season.
Whoa.
And so there's lots of movies to talk about. Yes. And we're going to start with a movie that's actually not as new. It actually premiered a few weeks ago, but we just got to see it.
Yes, we went to a screening that had afterwards a Q&A with Jennifer Lopez.
Woo! Yes, you can be jealous of us.
So you can you've probably guessed that the film we're going to be talking about is Hustlers. Hustlers is still in some theaters, but I think it'll be on demand pretty soon. And it was written and directed by Lorena Scafaria, and it's either Lorene or Lorena, but anyway, it's based on an article that was in New York Magazine, by Jessica Pressler, very popular article, and it stars the luminescent golden goddess Jennifer Lopez.
She really
is. Jenny from the block. Oh,
J-Lo.
my God, J-Lo. Constance Wu, who is wonderful. Julia Stiles, Keke Palmer, I loved her, Mercedes Rule, and Lily Reinhart, among others. I think Cardi B makes an appearance.
Right, Lizzo, Usher.
Even Usher, yeah. It was inspired by this very popular article in New York Magazine about a group of very savvy women dancers, pole dancers, exotic dancers in a gentleman's club in New York, who decide to turn the tables against their very rich, repulsive Wall Street clients. And they do make a killing, and then things happen. And as is the case in life, in drama, it's a wonderful story. The film, which I could not recommend more highly, is very funny.
It is.
We didn't know it was a comedy, but it turns out they call it.
Both.
What did they call it?
Like comedy, crime,
caper.
thriller, drama. It's like a mixed bag of everything.
Yeah, but it is very funny and it's fast. And the director, I think Adam McKay is a producer on this, along with Lopez, because I kept on thinking as I watched it, there's a lot of the Adam McKay kind of...
it's very well directed.
It's very
and
quick, but then it takes its time.
No, I thought he was very well balanced.
It's beautifully directed. I just think it was a perfect balance of everything this film needed. It's very warm. The Sisterhood, to me, was the best part of the story. Yes, I liked seeing these jerky men being taken advantage of, but the Sisterhood was very deep and very real. And really, the men are props. it's all women all the time, except for the men who are used as basically props.
And I just have to say, because we read a review by A.O. Scott in the New York Times, and he was like, the men are practically interchangeable, and
here was a bigger story to be told about.
Yeah. And what I wanted, because we were cheering, we felt empowered, and what he doesn't get, because first of all, who sends a man to review this movie? Really wrong choice, New York Times.
Yes, I think it should have been Manola's.
Yes, but what he doesn't get is how many of the other films that we review have women as practically interchangeable objects, which are just there to be, hanging on somebody's arm, on a man's arm. This was a movie for us where we take control, and we take these men who really, if you know what these men do to these women and how they objectify them and treat them, they deserve to have their day and to turn the tables on them and do whatever they wanted. Nobody got severely hurt.
No, they just had money taken from them.
Right.
One guy sort of, and there are a couple of nice guys in there, and that's sort of the downfall.
Yes. But what I loved also, by the way, really just to watch, I mean, a lot of this, because it's meant to titillate men, a lot of this is girl on girl action.
Oh, yes.
Very hot.
They use it, especially J-Lo and Constance Wu.
But I loved this. It really comes down to a platonic, nevertheless, a love story between these two characters, Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu. Even if it's not defined as a love story, this is when you watch this movie, this is what you see. This is the main relationship
from beginning to end.
And there's so much love in there, even with everything else that's being, all the monkey wrenches that are thrown in there. And it really is all about sisterhood.
It really is. Women. And I wanted to ask that question, but by the time I decided to raise my hand, they were through with the Q&A, whether Jennifer felt that this was the sort of the theme.
I'm sure, because she also said that it was important for her to develop that relationship behind the scenes with Constance. It was important to her and with the other girls
especially with Constance,
to be that mentor, to be that person, that mama bear.
It makes them comfortable and makes them feel loved,
which is the dynamic. Safe. Which is the dynamic in the movie, and she's so wonderful. And by the way, in case you're wondering, there was no body double. This is all Jennifer doing all of the pole dancing.
And she said at one point that she told the director first of all, she makes an entrance. When she makes her entrance into this film, it's like, I don't know, it's like Athena coming down from the mountain. It's just the most stunning.
It's Jennifer
Lopez. And then she comes out and she does this unbelievably acrobatic, sexy, brilliant dance, and everybody goes wild. They are throwing dollar bills at her. It practically obscures the stage, and one of my favorite scenes in the film was Constance Wu's face, which the camera stays on quite a bit of the time. She's new. She's the new girl in the club, as she watches J-Lo do her thing, as she watches Ramona Vega. Oh, it's a perfect name.
And I said it reminded me a little bit of Rooney Mara and Carol, when she said, I didn't really have to pretend. I was just staring at Cate Blanchett, and I'm sure that she felt the same. Staring at Jennifer
it was
Lopez.
all but just a little bit of drool in the corner of her mouth. And I want to just say also that Jennifer's producing partner raised her hand in the audience and said that she's going to say this because she knows Jennifer wouldn't say it. First of all, about how wonderful she is and how fabulous and all, but that in the script it says Ramona enters with a flourish, and the rest is all Jennifer. She had camera angles. She had
dance
moves. She had choreographed that entrance with a flourish down to the nth degree, and she says this is how she does everything. She leaves nothing to chance, and that the director was fabulously collaborative. And when you see a genius and someone who really knows what they're doing, what you have to be smart enough to do is step back and let them do their thing.
And I think, and this will be, I promise, the end of us gushing over Jennifer Lopez. Not that many of you might object, but this is why somebody like her, who, I mean, we cannot. I mean, yes, I would just sit there and stare at her because she's gorgeous and she's a terrific dancer and a performer,
fabulous actress,
and a fabulous actress, which is something that I think people forget because it's not what she does.
You won't forget it this time.
It's not what she does every single day, but she really is a wonderful actress. But she's also a fantastic human being who really is such a pro, and she has such a strong work ethic, and she takes on challenging but yet important projects, and I just adore her. I love what she's done with her career, and I think she's a wonderful, I mean, we enjoyed watching her so much. She's such a down-to-earth, wonderful, warm person.
I think that the kindness and that warmth and that intelligence emanates from her in everything she does, and that's one of the reasons that you sort of fall in love with her, besides the fact that she is so
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Anyway, Hustlers, we do recommend it.
And Constance Wu is
wonderful.
Everybody.
Lily Reinhardt, Kiki Palmer, I love them.
Everybody is wonderful,
yes.
But you cannot take your eyes off of Jennifer Lopez. And Julia Stiles had a very small part. She played the journalist, but I think she did a really good job with it. As a former journalist, I like to see a journalist played with integrity.
Yeah.
And it's
a wonderful movie. It's so far my favorite movie of the year.
You will absolutely enjoy every minute of this film.
Hustlers. Go watch.
Yes.
Okay, next up is a completely different movie.
Completely, although there is Sisterhood.
There are some similarities, yes. It's called Paradise.
Very little similarities, but it is, the Sisterhood does.
Okay. It's called Paradise Hills. It's right now, it's supposedly in theaters as well, but I'm sure you'll be hard-pressed to find it in a theater near you, but it is in digital and on demand. I think it's on Amazon for a few bucks, too. And it's the directorial debut, quite impressive, I might say, of somebody I've never heard of. Her name is Alice Waddington, and she is a costume designer, a photographer, all sorts of creative fashionista. And it was also co-written by her, Brian DeLue, and Nacho Vigalondo.
And when you see the costumes, you will understand her background design.
And in general, when you see what it looks like, the film, you can see that it was designed by somebody who has an eye for these things, because it had a very original look that actually took me a long time to get into, because it really made it a completely separate world from our world.
One of the reviewers, I think it was Manola, says that it's sort of a cross between Alice in Wonderland. It's like someone falling through the rabbit hole and a variety of other visual things.
Well, we'll tell you what it's about, but let me tell you about the cast, which to me was the main draw, which is Emma Roberts, Aquafina, who, by the way, the first word she utters, I was already laughing out loud, just because she's so funny no matter what she says. And she actually was playing a very different character here from the characters. Her characters are she's always very different. Danielle McDonald, who is becoming the new It Girl, and she's so wonderful. Aisa Gonzalez, who is a Mexican actress, you said?
Yes, but she has an almost perfect American accent.
Oh, and she's beautiful, and
exquisite.
And she's quite appealing.
A very good actress. She's got a lot of warmth. Oh, yes, she's done things in America.
Oh, okay.
I looked at her resume, and I haven't seen any of them, but she's certainly worked. Fast and Furious, that franchise, she's done a few things on.
And also Mila Jovovich.
Yes, exactly, who was actually very interesting and fun and kind
quite
of
entertaining.
Very witty, yeah.
So Emma Roberts is...
Uma.
Is Uma, yes, and she's sent by her family to this kind of healing center, but it's actually like, I think they think of it as like an etiquette school for girls.
It takes place in the future.
Right, it's futuristic, we don't know when, but... And then she's supposed to come out. There's a man that they really want her to marry. She doesn't want to marry him. She's in love with somebody else. So they send her there to straighten her out.
All of the girls there are there to be straightened out.
Right, to lose weight or to be more mentally strong.
Right.
Or because one of them is a lesbian, and that's why she's there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this place, where it seems like all they do is put on makeup and do yoga stretches, has a very deep, dark underbelly, which you will find out as you go along. They mix their metaphors a bit too much. It starts off as this futuristic, idealistic kind of a way, and then it becomes this semi-horror, fantasy,
the sci-fi element, I think, is the most predominant. The horror element is
yeah,
very...
it kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
I think that they made a mistake going there.
Me too.
But at the beginning, we weren't sure if we would even stick with it. But once we once we let ourselves go along with it, it actually revealed some very original elements, some very interesting surprises. The lessons are a bit, at the same time, obvious and repetitive from things that we've seen before, and muddy a little bit. But again, there was a lot of originality. It was done in a different way. The second half of the movie was much better than the first half.
And it's very satisfying.
Very satisfying. Again, there's a lot of camaraderie and sisterhood. It's all about the women banding together to rebel against the society's expectations of them, and against being pitted against one another, classism, and all sorts of things. It's actually a quite surprisingly good film.
Yes, I really ended up enjoying it immensely.
And there is a lesbian subplot.
Yes, lesbian subplot.
Which we did not know about in advance.
We didn't expect. So.
Yeah. So we recommend it. It's definitely worth your time and your few bucks.
Watch it on demand. I mean, it's not, a $16
and I really don't think,
but it's definitely worth a few bucks, and I think you'll appreciate its originality.
And the cast is wonderful.
Cast is excellent.
Paradise Hills on demand and in digital right now. Moving on, we have a new, well, not really so new anymore. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 episodes. A new HBO series, a comedy called Mrs. Fletcher. It's on at Sundays at 10:30. Created by Tom Perrotta, who also was the co-creator of The Leftovers. Yes, very different from The Leftovers, though.
It couldn't be more different.
But almost all, if not all, the writers and directors are women. Because at first, when I saw that this was created by a man, I was like, really? This show, which is about a woman, was created by a man? But the women are all over it. And it's starring primarily, and most importantly, the delightful and delicious Catherine Hahn, who you might know from Transparent. She was Raquel, the rabbi. And she is just wonderful. And also Jen Richards, you might know her. And
do I know her?
Yes, Jen Richards is the class teacher. Anyway, this is, I can't even really describe it fully to you because it's kind of an experience show rather than a concept. It's a single mom whose son, who's, by the way, a jerk, he goes off to college, and so she's home alone for the first time after a long time, and she's kind of having a reawakening of her sexuality, and well, I think
she's divorced.
I think she's re-exploring who she is. I think her, for a lot of women, while they're wives and mothers, that defines their personality and that fills up their days, and once they're alone, all of a sudden it's about, okay, so who am I now? And what do I want to do with all this time that I have?
She clearly wants to masturbate.
Right. So there's a lot of that. And actually, I'm not even, she might actually be a lesbian. I'm not sure
We're
yet.
not sure, but she's certainly interested.
Most of what she masturbates to, if not all,
lesbian
is
porn.
Lesbian porn and women.
And she has fantasies about women. So this was a twist we didn't expect at all. It came from nowhere. I mean, I don't know if it's going to end up that way.
Because I thought she would...
It looks like it's moving towards this relationship with this young boy. Right,
but I'm not sure if this is... Because I thought at first, okay, she's just going to experiment just all over the place with anything and anybody and, pansexually kind of... But really, I think that it might be that her true desires are lesbian, but she's just going to try to do everything and everyone to try to avoid it. So,
and her son is an idiot, by the way. Just
her son is a jerk. I said that. And so it's very... We enjoy it. I'm not sure yet where it's going, but I enjoy going along with it.
We love her so much, and because
but it's good
it is
writing,
an interesting
too.
journey. Yes, the writing is excellent.
Yeah.
But the journey is quite interesting, and it also has a little sisterhood. There's other empty nesters, and it's an odd little.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's about women she's considered a MILF, and I think that's the point of the young man really into her. is she is in her 40s, mid 40s, and she is considered a MILF. But
well, when they do the opening titles and they do Mrs. Fletcher, first they do MILF, and then they fill in Mrs. Fletcher. Yes,
okay,
which I thought was very clever.
Yeah, well, 45 is the new 25.
No, I think 45 is the new 45. I don't think a woman is interested until she hits her 30s.
But what I mean is
well, you were interested at 28.
Women in their 40s used to be considered
she's over the hill, someone's mother.
Now they're people are realizing that they're just hitting their prime.
Well,
at 40.
50s is
you don't need to convince me. Anyway, very interesting little gem. Mrs. Fletcher on HBO, Sundays at 10:30. Watch it. We have a couple of heads up for you, and just a little bit, we're going to review briefly the series finale of The Affair, but we're going to do it at the end, so in case you haven't watched it yet, you can tune out. But before that...
Yeah, we've got a couple of heads up, but we're going to see both of these films next week or the week after?
The week after, on your birthday.
On my birthday, oh yes.
So at that point, we'll be able to provide a review.
A full review.
Right now, we're just letting you know that they're coming out so that you don't miss them, because they're coming out, both of them are coming out this Friday, so basically the day before you listen to this.
All right, if you watch any television, you have seen a lot of promos for this film, which to me, next to Hustlers, is the film that I have been anticipating the most. And the reason I've anticipated the most is because it stars Helen Mirren.
Ta-da!
And also Ian McKellen, who...
Great combo.
Yes, I've seen them on Broadway in a Strindberg play. And
Show off.
Jim Carter.
She likes to name drop.
I do. And it's called The Good Liar. It's written by Jeffrey Hatcher and Nicholas Searle, and it's directed by Bill Condon. And it is a thriller. And it is very...
I'll tell you why it's a thriller, because it's a thrill to watch Helen Mirren do whatever.
It's a cat and mouse story, and it's about a con artist, Roy Courtney, and he and Helen meet online for online dating, and therein begins the chase. And it appears to be pretty one-sided in the beginning. He's after her; she's got a lot of money. He thinks she's going to be an easy mark. But guess what?
This is Helen Mirren
This is Helen Mirren. She is no easy mark. And
he kind of falls in love with her, too, I think, which also throws him off
and
of
who
his...
wouldn't?
Yeah,
I think this is a whole, the mouse turning the tail... turning the
tail.
tables, yes, on the cat. And it looks just fabulous. It looks very dark, but yet very... amusing. Mm-hmm. It's very clever. I think it's very puzzly. I think it goes back and forth between them. And I know one of the previews I've seen on television, it's not in the official trailer, the last shot is Helen looking at Ian and going, well, Roy, you've become a very good liar. And I think it's going to be delicious.
Yes, we're very much anticipating.
We cannot wait. When we saw that it was on our SAG After Movie Club, we just whooped and hollered.
Yes.
And we'll be letting you know more about it.
And the day after your birthday.
The day after my birthday.
And on the day of your birthday is another film that we're really anticipating. It's called The Report, and it's
on a completely different note.
Very, very different. It's written and directed by Scott Z. Burns, starring the wonderful Annette Bening, also Maura Tierney,
Adam Driver,
Michael C. Hall, John Hamm, Corey Stoll. It has a very, very good cast.
Good cast.
And it's based on the true story, the true events that happened after 9/11, and what the CIA did and what secrets it buried about how...
Interrogation.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of the movie Rendition with
I was thinking the same thing.
Meryl Streep. I mean, I don't think it's any
secret.
That
was more personal, a film, Rendition.
Yeah, but it's... all these things that they did, justified by the Patriot Act, by 9/11, and we are...
And the cover-up.
Right. And then, so we all know about torture. I don't think that's news to anybody. I wonder if there'll be more secrets revealed now that we haven't known about, or if it's just going to be about the scope. Because in the trailer, you already go like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. So Annette Bening is playing Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California who tasked Adam Driver's character with the task of uncovering all these secrets. It looks intense. It looks excellent. It looks like you are going to scream. And again, in this political climate, is just piling more and more stuff on
Right.
To make us really feel
And
frustrated.
yes, and although it
angry.
happens during the Bush administration, and maybe post, I mean, the investigation, we now have become so accustomed to lies, and more lies, cover-ups upon cover-ups.
Well, and not even...
the only difference here is that the president tells us about, Trump tells us about all his lies.
I was about to say, and I really don't want to get into a political discussion, but in those days you had to cover up torturing who they considered terrorists. Nowadays you can tell people that you're putting kids in
Children
cages,
in cages,
and that's fine.
and that it's fine.
So we've come a long way since then. And that's where I'll stop. You do not want to get me started.
No, you don't want to get me started.
This is a different kind of podcast. This is called The Report. It's also coming out this Friday.
It looks very intense.
Very, very excellent. We recommend it before even watching it.
Before even seeing it,
and
we
recommend
it.
Yes, and we're going to see it on your birthday. So, again, after your birthday, we'll come back with the podcast and review
We've
both
said my
movies.
birthday many, many times.
In
this
case you want to
podcast.
send gifts.
Do not send gifts.
Unless you want to donate to a charity.
Oh, yes, which I probably will post something.
Yes. And finally, again, if you have not yet seen the series finale of The Affair and you want to tune out at this point, ciao. And if you do want to listen to our very, very brief review, I just want to say, and you'll say what you think,
Sure.
but to me, I think that The Affair really improved with every season. I think it came a long way from the show that we kind of loved hating and hated to love in the first couple of seasons. And I really, really admire them and think it's very brave that they went with a happy ending.
Yes,
so
they did. I don't have much to add to that.
The only thing that bothered me, and it bothered me for the wrong reasons, Joni's story was just too hard to watch because of all the environmental issues that I'm sure await us at that
juncture. 30 years away is basically where her story takes place. I actually found it interesting, but it was jarring, and all my friends feel the same way. Even if we disagree on, as my friend Mary Jane and I did, on everything about this series, including the end, we did both agree that the Joni story sort of took us out of the show. It was something else. But it was necessary in their mind to get us to a certain point.
Yeah,
exactly.
I
like the way it came together at the end. And the more it was about Maura Tierney, the better it got, even though sometimes I found her a little annoying, but she was...
But everybody else was so much more annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody. First of all, let me just say that throughout this entire series, everybody was annoying.
Yes.
There was hardly anybody that I didn't just, at some point, just want to slap and say, get over it, or you do this, or do that.
They were very self-indulgent in many ways and selfish.
Noah does try to make amends.
He came a long way,
and I think that was very interesting. I found the last season and the last two episodes, which we watched together one after another. We binged those two episodes because Liron had been away. A very, very satisfying way to end the show. Much more than I expected to.
Yeah, I love that they completely encompassed beginning to end. You got to see these people's lives from beginning to end pretty much.
Well, from the marriage to the breakup of the marriage to the affair to the end. They did bring it sort of full circle.
And they went with a happy ending, which I didn't think a show like that was so that enjoyed wallowing in its torture. Would let us have that. Would let us have the satisfaction. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So The Affair. I'm gonna.
It was touching. I found the end very touching and very satisfying.
And I just want to say I'm gonna miss seeing Maura Tierney on my screen every week, and I hope she comes back in a new show.
Well, I think she already has.
A new show?
I just saw her in something.
In a movie.
Is it just a movie?
I think so.
Anyway,
if you hear us more...
That shows you how far television has come. Is it just a movie?
Well, just because I do enjoy the having her with me once a week in my living room. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We know this was a little lengthy. We have much more to say, but we'll save it for next week.
We haven't been here in months, so I think that an extra few minutes is warranted.
I hope it's okay. Anyway, we enjoyed talking to you as always, and we will be right back here next week.
Next week.
Ciao.